Hello, everyone. So today we are cooking with Miss Barker. So we had this idea to do something that would help families learn how that they can stretch their groceries. And I couldn't think of anybody better to do this than Miss Barker. So she and her husband were at the door and I said, "Hey, let's cook a meal." And she said yes. And so here we are. So Miss Barker, I'm going to hand to you.
Well, hello everyone. Welcome to God's Storehouse Soup Kitchen. We're going to learn how to make taco soup, or you might know it as Southwest soup. Either way, we're going to use basic ingredients, nothing fancy. And actually it's really a versatile soup because you can use any kind of ground meat. Whether it's ground chicken, ground pork, ground beef, ground turkey. The expense is not terribly different depending on the meat that you use. But anyway, these are all just great value canned vegetables. Pinto beans, chickpeas, whole kernel corn, black beans. Simple. You may even have some of these in your pantry because they're pretty common. The other thing is diced tomatoes, and this one is night brand, but they do make it in an off brand too. And I chose mild diced tomatoes with green chilies because I don't like it hot. And you'll need a package of ranch dressing and taco seasoning. Again, yeah, this is name brand, but you can buy off brand. It's the same thing. It works. So I took the liberty to go on ahead and drain some of these because once you open them, you'll need to drain them and wash them or rinse them over in the sink. And I'll show you that with the black beans because they're the ones that'll have the most grit in them. So I'm going to use ham. Hopefully on my ignite something. Take the can over here and spray it because we're cooking with gas, which by the way, I've never cooked on. So this is an experience for all of us. So if you start with browning or ground, whatever need. Like I said, today we're using chicken. And so you just take it out of the package. I sprayed the pan because sometimes it sticks. If you have butter at home, you can put a little pat of butter in your pan just so your meat doesn't stick while it's cooking. Once you get all that chicken in there, then you erase my hand off because it's sticking. You need to do that because it's meat and it's raw. It's not being booked. You need to be wrenching in book that belows. Or take a little swim. Bust at me too bad for a towel. I don't want to mess up our kitchen. So, to brown meat, it's pretty simple. You just put it in your frying pan. We're just using a basic size, whatever size pan you have. If it's a small pan, you can break it up and do part of it at a time. Like do half or a fourth or whatever fits in your pan. But you're basically turning the meat over with your spatula to brown it. Now, my family loves to season things, food, meats, before we eat it. So, I am using some seasoning. This is, it's basically seasoning salt. That's the first ingredient. You can use salt and pepper. You can use, I wouldn't use anything very spicy because you're gonna put taco seasoning in it and it's gonna be spicy. So, that's whatever seasoning, and I used a little bit. Probably, I don't know. I don't measure anything. 2 tablespoons, maybe. Salt and pepper to taste, and we'll say, this doesn't usually take very long to brown. But while you're doing that is a great time to drain your ingredients that you're going to use. So we're going to go over to the sink and drain the black beans. So you just pop the top. Use a colander, which looks like this. It's a bowl with holes in it, basically. And then you're going to dump your beans in there over the sink because the liquid's going to pour out. Kind of shake. Make sure you have all the beans out of the can. And then you're going to run water over them and kind of swish the beans around in colander. And you'll see kind of brownish water that coming out bottom of it because that's all the yummy liquid that you keep some moist is all them. So hopefully this won't make too big from this because I did bring something to set everywhere. Then we're gonna steal a pot. The second, so does it drain everything? Yeah, you immobiles. And you I'm not. So chicken see how well chicken is doing. It's browning up pretty nicely. I don't know if you can see this or not, but there are pieces of it that are brown wood. You'll be able to tell that it's cooked because it won't be pink anymore. It'll be kind of a golden brown. Let you know that it's done because you want to cook the meat all the way in. That will be really sad. Get it? So just do that. In terms of all the rest of these ingredients, they're gonna go. We got a few minutes left on this chicken, so they're gonna go in your crock pot or your stock pot, whichever one you have. This is what a stock pot looks like, or this one. And if you don't have a big pot like this, but you've got multiple small ones, use that and just mix it together in the biggest pot that you have and then pour it into your smaller pots to cook. That's what I would do. But I had a crock pot. So while this is still browning, keep an eye on the bow, because once it gets to the ends or almost done, you're gonna don't let it burn. That would be bad. But you're gonna dump all your ingredients. This is just whole kernel corn. You're just gonna dump them down into your crock pot. These are chickpeas. You don't have to use them, but I did. These are pinto beans. You can use kidney beans. This is just what I chose, and you just dump them in the pot. Just makes little piles. This was the diced tomatoes, poured all in there. This is the red tail, which is the green chili and tomatoes, poured in there. Now I say, there's the black beans, Takora. So once you have all that in there, this is kind of what it looks like. Just piles of beans and corn. And so let me get that over here. I don't put the dressing on my soup or in my soup or dressing packets until I put the meat in, and that helps to season the meat as well. So we're almost done. You got a little pink on the sides, so you just pretty much just keep moving it around until it'll be kind of lumpy. So break those hots up. That way you make sure that you get all the chicken cooked well, or the ground beef, or the pork, or turkey, whatever you choose. To make it with ground chicken, if you use 1 pound, which is what I do, the recipe that you're gonna get, will say 1 to 2 pounds. So basically, use 1 pound. This meal is anywhere from $14 to $16. Yeah. Now, one thing I forgot to do is you want the grain. I can't show you, but there's just a little bit of liquid with this chicken. So what I do is I just kind of take my spatula and I push the meat out of the pan so that I tilt it so that the grease from the chicken is down at the edge of the pan. And I just push it until I get all full of chicken out, trying to keep it tilted so that I drained the chicken at the same time that I put it in the soup. Sure. Almost there. And then I use one of my empty cans to put this little bit of grease in. The pinto bean can. And then you just pour the grease in the can. And then you don't have to worry about it. So put it to the side. You don't have to worry about it melting your trash bag when you put the can in there. All right, we're done cooking. So, take your packets of dressing. I just kind of use my spatula that I cooked the meat with. And you can use a spoon or a spatula, whatever you have to stir it around. I wish I could hold this up and show you what it looks like. I don't know if you can see that or not. But there's a little bit of liquid in here just from the tomatoes and maybe a little bit out of the corn, which is fine. You don't drain the tomatoes, but you do the corn, but sometimes corn will retain a little bit of liquid. And you just pour your seasoning in. Doesn't matter which one you do first, or it hasn't for me, except sometimes you can't pick that because you're looking, and that's a little bit of a bummer. So we'll find a knife or a pair of scissors and just kind of spot in there. One of those in there. You don't have to add water to it. I know if you were making tacos, you would. But we're going to add water in just a minute. And then you just stir it all up. All around. If I could hold this up so you can see what it looks like. And you'll notice it's pretty dry because we drained all the liquid out of it. The recipe will say that you can add 1.5 cups of water or a can of V8. My family are not big tomato fans, so I don't do the V8, I do the water. And so you just pour the water in. This was 1.5 cups. And now, give it another stir. Again, just to kind of break up that seasoning. You can smell it. It's going to smell so good when it's cooking. Your house is going to smell good. And you're going to get hungry. Or at least that's how it looks at my nails. So, if you had a crock pot, you need to set it for, depends on what time of the day you're making it. If it's new and you want to eat it for dinner, you'll need to set it on high for 4 hours. If you're making it in the morning, then low for about 8 hours. And you'll smell it and you'll look at it and you'll know when it's done because it will look like this. I don't know if you can see that or not, but that's your juice, and throughout the day it'll make some more juice because as the meat warms, it will release some liquid too. So that's what it looks like. Lots of times you can put grated or shredded cheese on top. a dollop of sour cream. You could have a peanut butter sandwich with it or a grilled cheese sandwich. Make it your own, but it's very simple. So then you would turn your crock pot on. Since it's, I don't know, right, almost 1 or so, we will probably cook this on high for a little while. And you could do high for a couple of hours and low for a couple of hours. Just look at it. It'll be brown like this, and you'll know when it's done. So I hope you enjoy. I hope that you enjoy this soup as much as my family does. So take care.